Hi, here in this video, let's talk about the novel Untouchable. Untouchable is a novel by Mulk Raj Anand published in the year 1935. The novel established Anand as one of India's leading English authors. The book was inspired by his aunt's experience when she had a meal with a Muslim woman and was treated as an outcast by her family. The plot of this book, Anand's first, revolves around the argument for eradicating the caste system prevalent in India. It depicts a day in the life of Bakha, a young sweeper who is untouchable due to his work of cleaning latrines. Let's go to the summary of the work. Untouchable is about a day in the life of a young Indian man named Bakha. It takes place in the North Indian cantonment town of Bulasha. Bakha is the son of Laka, who is in charge of all of Bulasha's sweepers. He is smart but naive, humble but proud. Bakha's day is filled with both big and small tragedies, which help him grow up and look inward. At the end of the book, Anand makes a strong case that untouchability should end because it is a cruel and unfair way to treat people. He makes his point with Bakha and the other people in the young man's world. Bakha's day starts with his father yelling and shouting at him to get out of bed and clean the toilets. The father and son have a hard time getting along, partly because Bakha is obsessed with the British and partly because Bakha is lazy. Bakha doesn't listen to his father, but he doesn't get up when a high caste man wants to use the bathroom. Charat Singh is a well-known hockey player. At first, Singh yells at Bakha too because he hasn't been cleaning, but the man's personality changes a lot. Soon after, he tells Bakha to come see him later in the day so that he can give the young sweeper a valuable hockey stick. Bakha is very happy to agree. He finishes his morning shift quickly and rushes home, dying of thirst because of how lucky he feels. There is no water in the house, which is a shame. So Sohini's sister offers to get some water for the bucket. Sohini has to wait at the well behind a line of other outcasts. Gulabo, the jealous mother of one of Bakha's friends, is also waiting for water. She doesn't like Sohini and is almost able to hit the young woman. Pandit Kalinath, a priest from the town temple, comes along and helps Sohini get some water. He tells her to come back later in the day to clean the temple. Sohini agrees and runs home quickly to get the water. Back at home, Laka pretends to be sick and tells Bakha to clean the town square and the courtyard of the temple in his place. Bakha knows that his father is sneaky, but he can't do anything about it. He gets his cleaning stuff together and goes into town. Most of the time, sweeping keeps him too busy to go into town. So when he does have some time, he buys cigarettes and candy. A high caste man brushes up accidentally against Bakha as he eats his candy. The man who had been touched didn't see Bakha because the sweeper forgot to call for the untouchable. The man is very angry. Bakha is shamed in public by a large group of people who hear him yelling. A Muslim merchant in a horse-drawn cart comes along and spreads out the crowd. Before the man who was touched leaves, he slaps Bakha in the face for being rude and then runs away. Bakha is so shocked that he starts to cry in the streets. He then quickly gathers his things and runs to the temple. This time he didn't forget to answer the call of the untouchable. A service is going on at the temple. It takes Bakha curious and he finally works up the courage to climb the stairs to the temple door and look inside. A loud noise comes from behind him. After he has only been standing there for a few seconds, Sohini and Pandit Kalinath are the ones who say that Sohini is making him dirty. Bakha pulls his sister away as the people start to gather. She tells him while crying that the priest molested her. Bakha is angry and wants to go back and talk to the priest. Sohini, who is embarrassed and ashamed, makes him leave. Bakha sends his sister home and tells her that he will do what she was supposed to do in town for the rest of the day. Bakha wanders around aimlessly, sad about what happened that day, before going to a few houses to ask for money for his family's food. The house is empty, so he curls up in front of it and goes to sleep. A beggar named a sadhu comes and wakes him up. The person who lives in the house in front of which Baka slept comes out with the food for the sadhu. When she sees Baka, she yells at him and won't feed him. She finally agrees to give him some bread in exchange for sweeping the area in front of her house. As Baka sweeps, the woman tells her young son to go to the bathroom in the gutter where Baka is working so that Baka can also clean up his waste. Baka drops the broom in disgust and goes back to his house in the outcast colony. At home, there are just Laka and Sohini. The younger brother of Baka is Raka. He is still out gathering food. Baka tells his father that a man from a high caste hit him in the street. Laka tells his angry son a story about how a doctor from a high caste helped save Baka's life. Baka is moved by the story, but he still feels bad. Raka comes back soon after story time with food. Baka is so hungry that he starts to eat, but the thought of eating the leftovers of the high caste people makes him feel sick. He gets up and says that he is going to his friend's Ramcharan's sister's wedding. Baka sees his other friend Chota at Ramcharan's house. The two boys wait for Ramcharan to lead them through the crowd of people who are celebrating a wedding. Even though his mother tries to stop him, Ramcharan eventually finds his friends and runs away with them. When they are alone, Chota and Ramcharan can tell that their friend isn't doing well. They try to get Baka to say what's wrong. Baka breaks down and tells them about Sohini's attack and the slap. Baka's story makes Ramcharan quiet and ashamed, but Chota is angry. He asks Baka if he wants to get revenge. Baka does, but he knows that getting revenge would be dangerous and pointless. A sad mood spreads through the group. Chota tries to cheer up Baka by telling him that they are going to play hockey later that day. This makes Baka remember that he needs to get the gift from. Baka goes to Charat Singh's house in the barracks, but he can't tell if the man is there or not. Baka waits under a tree because he doesn't want to wake him up or the other people who live there. Singh will soon be outside. He asks Baka to drink tea with him and lets the person who can't be touched touch his things. Singh's lack of care about Baka's supposed pollution makes Baka happy. So when Singh gives him a brand new hockey stick, he is very happy. Baka goes into the hockey game on fire, happy that his bad day is getting better. He gets the game's first goal. The other team's goal gets mad when Baka does well and hits him. This causes a full on fight between the two teams, which ends when the younger brother of a player from a high caste gets hurt. Baka picks up the boy and takes him home, but when the boy's mother sees him, she accuses him of killing her son. Baka walks home in a bad mood, and his father yells at him for being gone all afternoon. He kicks Baka out of the house and tells him that he must never come back. Baka runs away and hides out far from home under a tree. Colonel Hutchinson, a British man who is in charge of the Salvation Army in the area, walks up to him. He sees that Baka is upset and talks the sweeper into going to the church with him. Baka agrees because he is flattered by the white man's interest, but the colonel's constant singing of hymns soon bores him. Before they can go into the church, the colonel's wife comes to find him. She starts to scream and shout when she sees her husband with another blackie. Baka is very angry and runs away again. This time Baka runs towards town and ends up at the train station. He hears some people talking about Mahatma Gandhi's visit to Bular Shah. He joins the crowd of people trying to get to where the Mahatma is speaking. Gandhi comes in just as Bakha is getting ready to listen, and he starts his speech. He talks about how bad things are for the untouchables and how it's his life work to free them. At the end of his speech, he asks everyone there to spread his message that untouchability needs to end. After the Mahatma leaves, two smart Indian men have a lively conversation about what he said. A lawyer named Bashir criticizes most of Gandhi's ideas and thoughts in a good way. The other is a poet named Sarshar who passionately and convincingly defends the Mahatma. The words and ideas they use are so high level that most of what they say goes over Baka's head. But he does understand that Sarsha means when he says that the flushing toilet, a machine that takes care of trash so people don't have to, is coming soon to India. This machine could make it possible for people to be touched. With this glimmer of hope, Baka runs home to tell his father about the Mahatma speech. This is the end of the summary of Untouchable. Thank you.